What's up, everybody? We are now going to go north of Castelia City to Route 4, and that's where we're going to battle Bianca and Cheren, and either A, you can go to Nimbasa City, or you can go to the Desert Resort. In this playthrough, I'm going to go to the Desert Resort, because you can get a fossil. Although, in reality, you have to go there anyway, so it really doesn't matter which way you do it. But personally, I like to go to the Desert Resort because there's a lot of trainers that they have Pokemon that are levels that your Pokemon are right now. So if you go back there and fight all the Desert Resort people later on in the game when you have to go there, you're totally overpowered and it's not really that much fun. So anyway, as soon as you walk into the passageway between Castelia City and Route 4, you're going to battle with Bianca. And she has a Herdier now. Her Lillipup has evolved. And then her second Pokemon is a Munna. And then she has her Elemental Monkey, which is still Stage 1. It hasn't evolved yet. And she has the second stage of her starter Pokemon. So this battle shouldn't be too terribly difficult for you. As I've said before, Bianca is kind of like the pushover rival in this game, or in this generation, and Cheren is more of like the legitimate, you know, testing your power type rival. So since Bianca's sending out Pansear, I'm going to go ahead and send out my Girder and use his, you know, brute power to just destroy Pansear in one hit. And yeah, granted, my Girder is level 27, so it was almost 10 full levels above, but we have officially beaten Bianca. We've beaten her. So she's going to go ahead and run off, and the next thing for us to do is go to Route 4 and battle with Cheren. So Cheren is going to be waiting for us right on this main road here, and he has a Pidove, a Liepard, his Stage 1 Elemental Monkey, and his Stage 2 starter Pokemon. So this is, you know, this probably shouldn't be that difficult of a battle, but it's definitely more difficult than Bianca. And instead of going through this battle, which will probably be pretty boring, I'm going to go ahead and start talking about the next generation of Pokemon games, and I guess more recently, not really recently, but closer in the future, the third game of this generation, and what I want to see in it, what I expect to see in it, what I don't expect to see in it. So, for the time being, considering the game hasn't even been announced yet, I'm just going to go ahead and call it Pokemon Gray, because that seems like a fairly logical name for it. And I'm going to go ahead and predict that Pokemon Gray is going to be released on the DS, but it is going to be compatible with the 3DS. And you might say, Ryan, that's fucking stupid. But in reality, even the very first Pokemon games for the Game Boy were kind of... Well, actually, never mind. I don't think Red and Blue were, like, future compatible with Game Boy Color, but I know for a fact that Pokemon Yellow was. Like, for example, when you went to Cerulean City, all of the sprites had, like, a blue overtone. And when you went to, like, Fuchsia City, they had, like, a purplish-reddish overtone. So, you know, that was code inside of the game that most likely, if a Game Boy was reading it, an original Game Boy was reading it, it would just go over it and be like, okay, I don't know how to do that, whatever, I'm not going to bother doing that. But if it was played on a Game Boy Color, you would, I'm sure it would say, okay, cool, I'll put a little blue overlay on top of that. And I'm thinking that most likely they can probably do the same exact thing with a DS versus a 3DS. So essentially, my assumption is that they can probably put some code, considering they probably have some super smart coders there at whatever branch of Nintendo and whatever Game Freak people are on this project. They probably have some super smart people that can implement something. So if you play it on a normal DS, it'll just show up exactly how you see it right here. But if you play it on a 3DS, you can actually use the 3D effect. That's what I'm really thinking will happen. And realistically, I don't see any other possible way for it to happen. Just because of the fact that now that the 3DS is, the primary Nintendo handheld, and, yeah, where was I going with this? Yeah, now that the normal DS is getting phased out, and Pokemon is such a huge fucking franchise, it is so fucking huge, that it would make no sense whatsoever for them to release Pokemon Gray, or the third game of this generation, on the DS. And it didn't really make much sense, to be honest, for them to release this game, Pokemon Black and White, on the DS, considering the 3DS... Like, yeah, I think literally the 3DS came out like 2 weeks, in America at least. It came out like 2 weeks after Pokemon Black and White came out. Or like within a month. So, yeah, realistically, that was a fucking terrible decision on Nintendo's part. But more so, considering the 3DS has been out for such a long time now, it's been out for, well over half a year now, it would make absolutely no sense whatsoever. It would be like absolutely inconceivable for them to release the third Pokemon game solely on the DS without having some reason to play it on a 3DS, So that's really what I think is going to happen. And moving forward with, like, Generation 6, obviously it'll be exclusively for the 3DS, but let's see. I'm really hoping that it goes full 3D. Because, Pokemon has never been like that. It's never been full 3D movement. Although, I don't know, possibly that would be a bad thing because there's so many things that you kind of take for granted when it's such a simple design as it is now, where it's just like, a grid design where you can only move up one space and left one space, as opposed to, like, Zelda in all of its 2D incarnations. You could always move, like, pixel by pixel instead of, like, the width of your character by the height of your character. So, I don't know, having a full 3D Pokemon game might not really work out. Unfortunately, I haven't played through XD Gale of Darkness or Coliseum. That's like the next thing I'm going to do. After I'm done with this video walkthrough, I'm probably going to try to play through either one of those games and probably record it and, do voiceover just like I am now. But from all of the reviews and whatnot that I've read, there weren't any real gripes with them. I think they have pretty favorable reviews. So, I don't know. I'm hoping that maybe that's a possibility, but I don't know. I'm not terribly excited for the 6th generation as far as it being on the 3DS, just because the 3DS is so stupid. I really hate the idea of it, to be completely honest. Like, I want video games. And it's kind of just like a reflection of Nintendo as of late anyway. Like, the Wii, I totally did not have any sort of, like, nerd boner over the Wii whatsoever. I was so not into it at all. And yeah, even now that the Wii's super cheap and I can buy super cheap Wii games, I have a Wii that was my brother-in-law's that he more or less gave to me. And even considering I got my Wii for free, like, I still don't really even care at all. Like, any of the Wii games that I've played thus far have been really disappointing because instead of just letting me use a GameCube controller, like, for example, Super Mario Galaxy 2, I played that with my friend Darren, and the whole time I was holding the stupid fucking Wiimote and the nunchuck, and I was thinking, why can't I play with a GameCube controller? This makes no fucking sense. And I just couldn't get over that. So, I don't know, like, yeah, pretty much ever since the Wii, like, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. But then I played it, and I was like, wow, this is really stupid. It just amounts to me shaking the controller like a moron. So, and yeah, with the 3DS, like, and even before that, with the normal DS, like, it was kind of cool initially, like, oh, wow, a touchscreen. I wonder how people will use this. Little known fact for everybody, no one ever fucking used the touchscreen worthwhile. You know, like, for example, look at Pokemon Black and White. How do you fucking control the goddamn game? You control it with the D-pad and A buttons. You know, and yeah, granted, they've made quite a few worthwhile changes as far as, like, really utilizing the touchscreen, but look at how long it took them to fucking do that. Like with Diamond and Pearl, for example. Diamond and Pearl was just like, hey, let's make things 3D, except let's still use the exact same UI of Ruby and Sapphire. You know, to the point where you press start and the actual menu is on the top screen, you know. So it took developers a long time to actually utilize the touchscreen. And yeah, even now that they do, it's like, it's not as if they actually use it that much. And again, I would much rather play my games with a D-pad and the face buttons, you know, the ABXY buttons, as you do with Pokemon. So, I don't know, yeah, like the DS was a complete failure, in my opinion, as far as, like, offering a new way to play games and actually utilizing that. Because, again, it's like, it's 2011, and I'm playing my DS with my D-pad and, you know, the ABXY buttons. And pretty much every game in my entire collection does the same thing. You know, there's like a select few games like WarioWare Touched that they actually change that up and they use the touchscreen, but for the most part, most games totally don't use that. So, yeah, and looking forward towards the Wii U, I'm more disappointed in Nintendo than I have ever been. Because just looking at that, like I've talked about with my friend Nick, and he seems like he genuinely enjoys the idea of the Wii U, and he's excited for it. But, man, I don't know how the hell anybody could be excited for that. They have, like, a tablet controller that, yeah, the big selling point for that is, oh, hey, if you're playing on your big screen TV and then someone says, hey, I want to watch TV, but you don't want to stop playing, now you can play it on your fucking tablet screen. Who the fuck is that for? Like, me personally, I play my video games in my room where no one else can say, hey, I want to use your TV. It's like, no, it's my TV. I'm going to use it. So, I don't know, like, and yeah, more so, excuse me, more so if I want to play my games on the go, or if I want an experience where I can, like, carry my game wherever, it's like, you know what, realistically, I'll just play my DS. I'll just play my Game Boy Advance. I'll just play my 3DS, whatever. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So, I don't know, like, I just really don't like Nintendo anymore, to be honest. Like, and it's only because I was such a big fan when I was a kid. Like, I grew up on the Nintendo, you know, the NES, and then, you know, I was so big into the 64, and then I was so big into the GameCube, and, like, they've just disappointed me so much with the fact that now they focus on gimmicks. That's all there is. There's just gimmicks. There's no reason why I need to shake a controller instead of pressing a B button to do something. So, anyway, that was a pretty huge rant. I would love to go into it more because I didn't really even touch the surface on it. But we're now in the desert resort, and I will see you in the next video.